For years, I thrived in the high-pressure business world, but the workaholic life finally caught up with me. I was 35, very overweight, in chronic pain with severe mobility issues, terrible diet, no exercise. My health was a complete wreck. Then I went to a gentle yoga class and felt truly relaxed. The stress just melted away. I went from a size 18 to a size 8. I stopped getting sick. Pain disappeared. I learned to open my heart and I felt happy for the first time in years. So I said goodbye to the business world and started teaching. Yoga doesn't have to be strenuous. The easiest movements can trigger major release of chronic symptoms no matter your age.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hello, I'm Deborah Devine, and that was my story. I had real problems caused by long hours at a desk and lack of activity. But it was killing my lower back. And then I started gentle yoga. The lower back can be a real problem for Zoomers. As we age, it can bear the brunt of tightness in the surrounding areas. So I've created a very simple yoga sequence that takes all that strain away. And you don't have to be flexible to join me. First, we do some mat work to release the front of the low back. Then we free up the hips, the glutes, and the hamstrings before a nice warm down back on the ground. These are super easy poses, but don't be fooled. They are really effective. Just 1 or 2 poses can make a world of difference. Let's start the healing. Joining me today, Susan, who's been working a lot at a desk and it's putting a lot of stress on her lower back. And Daria, who's been injured in a few car accidents and her spine is out of alignment. Okay, let's begin with a warm-up. Constructive rest, rocking on the floor. So we come to lying down with the knees bent and use your upper body strength to help you come down onto your back. We'll let ourselves rest with the hips and the shoulders surrendering into the ground. Bring the shoulder blades down the back one at a time and let the arms come away from the side ribs so that we can get more breath into the lungs. Let's take the feet a little bit wider than the hips. And we'll begin to exhale, turning the legs to one direction and the head in the opposite direction of the legs. We inhale and everything comes back to center. And then we exhale and things move in the opposite direction. Let go of the jaws, let go of the eyes, and keep these breaths slowing down and move in time with the breath. The breath is the catalyst for movement here, and we're getting deep underneath the belly organs to release muscles on the front spine. The psoas, a key hip flexor that gets really tight and activates the sympathetic aspect of the nervous system, the fight-flight aspect of the nervous system. Now we're going to come back to center, and then we're going to take a couple of variations with the upper leg to help get really deep into the psoas muscle. So we'll take the left foot and we'll heel toe out to the left, and we'll keep the right leg stable. When you can't heel toe the left foot out any further, let's hinge the feet, hinge the left foot, and let the knee drop into the midline. We'll take a couple of long, slow, smooth, and complete in and out breaths, feeling this wonderful inner rotation of the femur that's helping us release a lot of tension around the SI joint, the place where the sacrum fits into the pelvis. And we're also releasing deep underneath the belly organs into the psoas. And we're lengthening the psoas out ever so slightly. Now let's take a long, slow, smooth in breath and fill the lungs and fill the belly. And then a long, slow, smooth out breath, exhaling completely. Feel the belly come to the front spine. Then we take the foot, heel toe, back into the midline, and we go to the opposite side. Heel toe out to the right side until you can't go any further. And then we just hinge the foot and let the knee come into the midline. There's no pushing or striving here. There's just this idea of a surrender and an inner spiral of that right leg. We take a long, slow, smooth in breath, filling up any areas that are calling for attention, any areas that are tight or feel stuck. And we exhale, tension, gripping, holding, and move that energy down into the ground. There are so many components that come into play when we're dealing with pain and discomfort in the low back. The muscles on the front of the spine can be overstressed. The muscles on the sides of the spine can also be overstressed. And then we've also got the glutes and all of the hip rotators around the hips. And then we've also got the hip flexors on the front of the low back. So when these muscles are tense and tight, we can experience a lot of misalignment in the low back. Let's come back to the midline. We'll take the knee up and heel toe back into center. Then we'll just move the knees in the opposite direction of the head in time with the breath, just a few cycles. And you can probably already begin to notice that some stress and tension is starting to drop away. Please continue to enjoy constructive rest and rocking and moving your legs into an inner spiral and breathing. And when we come back, we'll be working with some more yoga solutions for low back discomfort.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, my name is Susan. I'm 53 years old. I've been experiencing lower back issues for the past 4 years. One of the things that I do for a living is that I'm actually a writer, and I sit for very long periods of time. And I find that sitting on the chair, I tend to slump over to the side because I'm getting fatigued. I also find I can't stand as long if I'm going out and I'm having to walk around, say, in an outdoor market, or I'm going to watch a concert or something and I'm standing for long periods of time. I find that my back seems to bother me. I find that yoga tends to relieve some of the issues that I have with my back. I find if I get up from my chair while I'm writing and do some yoga poses that I actually am having less problems and less pain in my lower back.
Welcome back. In today's episode, we're using yoga solutions to help us deal with low back issues. Susan, when you were talking about sitting at a desk a lot, I really identify with what you were saying. I sat a lot at my desk and also drove a lot as well. And it's just amazing how sitting can be so challenging for the low back.
Absolutely, Deb. And to add to that, I've recently had a car accident.
Wow.
And that has further made sitting a little bit more difficult. I had a car actually reverse into my car, and unfortunately I saw it coming, so I was very tense when the car hit my car. And that's actually seems to affect my lower back quite a bit.
Wow. The next pose is going to help us really work deeply into the hips, which is going to have a wonderful effect on the low back. So let's lie down for thread the needle. We are bending the knees and taking one leg up and over so that we can rest the ankle on the opposite knee. Then we circle the foot around and we spread the toes. We're getting a lot of opening through the plantar fascia on the sole of the foot. Then we go to the sit bone of that rising leg, and we draw the sit bone down and point it toward the grounded foot, giving a nice external rotation to the femur so that there's a little bit of a wringing out going on in the hip and in the glute. Then we begin to rock back and forth, just rocking and ironing out all of that tension on the back of the hips. When we externally rotate the femur in the thread the needle pose, we're actually getting deep into the glutes, underneath the glutes, into the piriformis, which is a muscle that starts right around where the sacrum is, and then it travels diagonally down to the outer part of the upper leg bone. When that muscle gets really tight, it can create an achy sensation here and sometimes a shooting pain sensation down the leg. We're releasing all of the muscles that are associated with the low back and all of the connective tissue here as well. Let's come back to center and switch over to the opposite side. Daria is putting her grounded leg on a chair, and you could use a wall for these purposes as well. When we lift the shin and the foot higher, we get a little bit deeper twist in the hips. We're wringing out more deeply into the piriformis and the other muscles that connect the legs to the pelvis and the pelvis to the spine. So we can start off very slowly and gently first, and then begin to lift the lower leg up if that feels good. Let's go into Supta Panagustasana A, B, and C. We need a belt or an old bathrobe tie or your husband's tie, because we'll be using this to put on the ball of the big toe and the ball of the baby toe. Now we'll just come down onto the back and we'll bend one knee and place the belt around the ball of the big toe and the ball of the baby toe. And we'll just gently begin to open up the back of the knee. We don't have to straighten the leg right away. There's no need to pull on the hamstring until we've got it a little bit warmed up. Let's take the grounded leg a long, long way. Press down into the ground. Press the heel away. Press the ball of the big toe into the belt and resist with the belt against the ball of the big toe. If you keep your knee bent, slowly, by using the breath, we'll begin to open up the back of the knee. Long, slow, smooth in-breaths into any areas that you're feeling tense and tight, and exhaling tension and gripping and holding. Now we'll go to the head of the femur, the upper leg bone, where it goes into the hip socket. And we'll just see this external rotation happening there. So the knee is turning out, the foot is turning out. We ground on that grounded side, pressing down and then opening up the leg. We press the foot into the belt, resist the belt against the foot, draw that sit bone down and point it toward the grounded foot, and take 3 long, slow, smooth in and out breaths up and down the inner leg and on the back of the hamstrings. Now, let's come back up to center. We're switching hands and we're going to roll over onto the opposite hip. Give yourself more belt and let the foot come away from the face. And then if you've got a bolster handy to rest your leg onto, wonderful, or a chair. If not, you can keep letting your foot come away from the face and rest here. Take some long, slow, smooth in and out breaths deep into any areas that are calling for attention. We're getting a lot of wringing out and a lot of stretching out of any tension that's been residing in the back of the hips, in the glutes and the piriformis. We're pressing the foot into the belt and the belt into the foot. We take the other arm up and over and we switch our gaze over to the opposite side. Please continue Supta Padangusthasana A, B, and C on the opposite side. And when we come back, we'll be working into some more twists to help the low back.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, my name's Daria White. I'm 53 years old. I've had a couple of car accidents that have contributed to my lower back issues. And about 5 years ago, I noticed that when I was under stress, it really tightened up my back. I'm on my feet all day long, and I find that my back just cramps up on me, and I even have difficulty walking at times. If it wasn't for doing yoga, when I started feeling that way, I would literally not be able to get through my day.
Welcome back. In today's episode, we're dealing with yoga solutions for low back discomfort. Daria, what's your favorite pose when you're dealing with back problems?
Twisting over the bolster.
I love that one too. And we're going to be doing that. Let's come into a side bend as a prep for that twist we're going to be doing in a few moments. So if you'd like to take a bolster or a rolled up blanket or towel and just put it widthwise on the mat, then we can take the bottom knee and keep it bent for a good foundation. And then we take the top leg and we let it come long. We get nice and tall on the front of the spine, and then we exhale and surrender over top of the spine and let the head rest on the upper arm. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here and feel this wonderful opening on the side. Then, next in-breath that comes along, we'll take the top arm up and over, and we'll hold on to the top wrist with the bottom hand. Let's spread the toes and press the heel away and move the whole leg out of the hip socket. We'll do the same thing with the upper arm. We're going to be moving the upper arm out of the shoulder socket, but we'll apply a little bit of resistance and move the shoulder blade down the back. Long, slow, smooth in-breaths. Feel this beautiful expansion happening on the side of the body. We're getting deep into the muscles and the connective tissue on the sides of the spine. Let the out-breaths be complete. Feel the belly come to the front spine. We're moving lots of fresh energy into the low back here in preparation for the twist that's coming up. Then we'll let the top arm come back, bend that top knee, and place the hands down on the ground and use your upper body strength to come up. Now we'll just switch sides, move the bolster over to the opposite side. And it's a good idea to put that support close up to your hip. And then again, draping ourselves over top of the bolster and then letting the top plane be nice and long. Now you may want to move your head back just a little bit, and perhaps you'd like to move the top leg back if you've got some flexibility in the front of the hip. We're pressing the heels away, moving the whole leg out of the hip, and we're moving the top arm away from the torso as well. Feel this expansion of the breath between the top of the hip and the bottom of the ribs. And then let the out-breath be complete. Feel the belly come to the front spine. Pause there for a moment and have that beautiful sensation of peace and stillness. And then when the in-breath comes, it feels so nourishing. Wonderful. Let's take the top arm back, bend the top leg, press our way up. And then we'll just swing the bolster lengthwise. So bring the short edge of the bolster close up to the hip. And then see how your legs would like to be set up. There could be a better feeling for you if you have your knees close together. Or you might like to take your feet a little bit further apart or really far away from each other. We go down with 2 breath cycles to make sure that we're getting lots of extension and length in the spine so the discs are very happy. We take a long, slow, smooth in-breath, lengthening the front of the body. Long, slow, smooth out-breath takes us into this wonderful spiral on the axis of the spine. An in-breath lengthens us again, and then the out-breath lets us come down using the upper arms to help us get down here, and we rest the temple. We rest the temple down, move the bottom hip away from the short edge of the bolster to make yourself more comfortable. Let's let the body release in this beautiful, gentle twist. We're wringing out all kinds of tension that's been resting in the low back for some time. We're using our breath to breathe light and spaciousness into the areas that are calling for attention. And then we're releasing tension down into the ground. Please continue on to the opposite side. And when we come back, we'll be doing our warm down for the low back.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Standing forward bends are great for low back fatigue. Anytime your back is talking to you, do one with knees bent to accommodate tight hamstrings. Welcome back. In today's episode, we've been dealing with yoga solutions for low back discomfort. We've stretched out the hamstrings. We've stretched out the muscles on the front of the spine. We've also worked with the hip rotators and the glutes. And now we should be feeling very loose and limber in the lower part of the body. For our final warm down, we're going to be coming into an elevated chest Savasana. So if you have a rolled up blanket or towel or a yoga bolster, we'll just bring ourselves right up to the short edge. So it's resting here to support the low back. We keep the knees bent and we use the arms to walk ourselves back and we rest down. Legs can come long and we shake them out. Bring the shoulder blades down the back and in behind the heart. Now, take a few breaths and feel yourself completely surrendered here. We're opening up the front part of the body and we are giving the low back a beautiful rest. There is a wonderful way of being supported here in this pose that allows us to release all of the tension and gripping in the area between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the hips. It can be really wonderful to support the head with a folded blanket, and that gives the brain a wonderful place to rest. And you can see that the forehead and the chin and the chest are making this beautiful downward line. That is very soothing on the heart, it's very soothing for the brain, and it's really wonderful for the whole upper body. And having the sandbag or the rice bag placed on the low belly can also feel really wonderful. This is grounding the pelvis. Now, if there's any discomfort in the low back, all you need to do is move the pelvis away from the short edge of the bolster. You can bend your knees and actually move your pelvis away and then reset the legs and see how that feels. Resting in an upper chest opening pose has an excellent effect on our oxygen levels. Let the shoulder blades come down the back and in behind the heart. Allow your collarbones to open. Let the ribs expand, opening like a clamshell, revealing the pearl of the heart. We'll take a long, slow, smooth in-breath into the feet. into the legs. Inhaling light and spaciousness, and exhaling tension and holding. We take a long, slow, smooth in-breath into the hips, into the back, the whole spine and all of the muscles. Breathing in light and spaciousness, and exhaling tension, exhaling holding. Please continue to enjoy at least another 15 minutes of Savasana. Thank you for joining us on Healing Yoga. Namaste.